What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today I have my Jacksonville Jaguars season preview for y'all, so let's hop into it. And if you like this type of stuff, please consider subscribing. So last year, the Jaguars finished with a 9-8 record. They won the division, the AFC South, and they made it all the way to the divisional round of the playoffs, where they ultimately lost 27-20 against the Kansas City Chiefs. But they did have that comeback against the Chargers in the wild card round. So a really good year for the Jaguars last year, even though they ultimately fell short. I still have super high hopes for them and think they can actually take the next step this year and be an AFC powerhouse with the likes of the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills. But anyway, some of the notable free agent signings they brought in to help bolster this team, they got kicker Brian McManus, wide receiver Calvin Ridley. I know he wasn't a free agent signing, but his suspension has been lifted, so he will play this year for the Jaguars, which just gives Trevor Lawrence another weapon on the offensive side of the ball. And they got running back to Ernest Johnson from the Cleveland Browns, who I think is a pretty underrated running back. He was sitting behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but in the little he did get to play and see the field, he was an extremely effective back, and I think he will have a good year for the Jaguars as well. And they re-signed a lot of good guys as well. Tight end Evan Ingram, they signed him to, I want to say it was a 3-year extension. Quarterback CJ Beathard, defensive end Roy Robertson Harris, defensive end Dwayne Smoot, defensive back Andrew Wingard, defensive end Adam Godis, offensive lineman Blake Hance, and defensive tackle Devon Hamilton. So they re-signed a decent amount of guys on the defensive line and on their defense as a whole, which was a good group, especially down the stretch when they were able to pass the Tennessee Titans and win their division last year. So getting a lot of these guys back is good for the team. But they did lose a decent handful of players as well. Cornerback Shaquille Griffith, tight end Dan Arnold. They lost wide receiver Marvin Jones, offensive tackle Jawan Taylor, linebacker Arden Key, and they traded kicker Riley Patterson. So even though they lost a few players, they did bring in a few to replace them, and they did good at in-house re-signing. And one of the good things is they don't have a new coaching staff. They have the same coaches coming back, so they can just improve upon what they know and just build upon the foundation that was already set with this coaching staff. So moving on to their rookie class, and this is kind of where they filled a lot of the holes that the players left. They got offensive tackle Anton Harrison, tight end Brenton Strange, running back Tank Bigsby, linebacker Ventrell Miller, defensive end Tyler Lacey, linebacker Yasir Abdullah, safety Antonio Johnson, wide receiver Parker Washington, cornerback Christian Broswell, safety Eric Hallett, offensive guard Cooper Hodges, defensive tackle Raymond Vahasek, and fullback Derek Parrish. So they filled a lot of the holes in this draft, and they drafted a lot of good guys. Offensive tackle Anton Harrison can come in and make an impact. Tight end Brenton Strange out of Penn State, one of the better tight ends in this draft class. If you ask me, I am a Penn State fan, so I am a little bit biased, but I still think he will be good in this league. And wide receiver Parker Washington, another Penn State product that I think can just come in and be a reliable receiver for Trevor Lawrence. So a lot of their holes they filled through the draft, and just a lot of depth guys they also got through the draft. So definitely a good draft by the Jaguars to improve this team and hopefully win another AFC South title this year, which I definitely think they are capable of and what I actually have them doing. So with all that in mind, let's move over to their schedule and my record prediction for the Jaguars. All right, now, so I apologize for the fuzziness of this schedule, so hopefully you can make it out. I apologize once again. But either way, right here in week 1, they have the Indianapolis Colts on the road. And with the Jonathan Taylor situation going and the little bit of drama in the Colts organization and the fact that they have a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson, I just think this is going to be an easy win for the Jaguars right here in week 1. Then in week 2, it is a rematch of the AFC divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the Jaguars will avenge that loss with a win right here over the Chiefs. So I think they're at their weakest early on, and that benefits the Jaguars right here, which helps them get the win. So riding high off that win off the Chiefs, they have a divisional matchup right here in week 3 against another rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud, and I think they win this one as well. So in week 4, they have the Atlanta Falcons over in England, and I think this 3-win streak becomes a 4-game win streak as they win this one. So right here in week 5, they have the Buffalo Bills also in England. So it is nice that they have back-to-back weeks in England. I don't believe they will be traveling back to the United States because I don't think that would make much sense to play a game over there, come back and practice to just go back over there, which I do think benefits the team. but I do think they finally slip up over on foreign soil and lose to the Buffalo Bills, their first loss of the season. But then they come back home and play their second matchup against the Indianapolis Colts in week 6, in which they do bounce back nicely and get the win, sweeping the Colts for this year. Then they go on the road and play the New Orleans Saints on Thursday Night Football, and I think they get a win right here. The Saints are a team that they could be good with Derek Carr. They could not. If he has a down year, the Saints could just be a middle of the pack type of team. And with the high hopes I have for the Jaguars, this is a game that they have to win. So I'm going to give them the win here. And then they go on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think this is probably a trap game for the Jaguars. The Steelers have a really good defense. I know they're kind of lacking on the offensive side of the ball. Najee Harris had a down year last year. Kenny Pickett has shown promise, but I don't think he's a top tier quarterback. And with this game coming a week before their bye, I think Jacksonville may overlook it, and the Steelers defense can take advantage of this team. So I'm actually going to give them a loss right here against the Steelers. So at their week 9 bye, they are sitting at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6-2 record. Still a really good record for this team. And then coming out of the bye, they have the San Francisco 49ers at home. And this game could really go either way. But the one thing that I do think benefits the Jaguars is they have the quarterback advantage here. Brock Purdy, yes, he came in last year and finished out the season great. He had that injury in the playoffs, and the 49ers brought in Sam Darnold this offseason. I know they still have Trey Lance, and there is speculation that Lance could be traded, but I don't know how true that is. And so the 49ers quarterback situation, I do expect Brock Purdy to probably regress a little bit this year, and maybe I think the Jaguars can beat the 49ers right here, and they get the win out of their bye week, especially with the extra week to prepare for this. I think it's safe to say that they could win this game, but this game could really go either way. And then they have the Tennessee Titans at home in their first of 2 matchups against them. And I do think they probably split the season series with the Titans. So I will give them the win right here in week 11, but I will change the week 18 matchup down here to a loss for the Jaguars. Then they travel to Houston and have the Houston Texans again, and I think they sweep them. I don't think there's too much thought about that. I think the Texans are probably going to be one of the weaker teams in the league this year, so the Jaguars get a relatively easy win there. So the next 3 weeks, week 13, 14, and 15, it's just the AFC North. They just play the AFC North. They have the Bengals, then they travel to Cleveland, and then they have the Baltimore Ravens. And this is just a tough stretch. I expect all 3 of these teams to be pretty good, both Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Baltimore. I don't know why I said both when I was referring to 3, but oh well. And I do think they will probably lose one of the games in here. Which game? It could really be either one. If Joe Burrow is healthy, they could lose against the Bengals. If Deshaun Watson and the Browns are playing really good football, it could be the Browns. Or if Lamar Jackson's healthy, it could very well be the Ravens. I don't want to give them like 3 straight losses, and they're definitely not getting 3 straight wins. Yeah, this section is definitely really tough. I'm going to give them the win against the Bengals only because of Joe Burrow's injury this offseason. If he isn't 100% healthy, I do see them. They could beat the Bengals. Then they travel to Cleveland, and I'll make this their loss just because they're traveling to Cleveland. And with this game being in December, the weather could be really rough, which would benefit the Browns. So I'll give them the loss against the Browns, and then I'll make the game against the Ravens because it is also in Jacksonville a win. But really, this loss to the Browns could be a loss to the Bengals or a loss to the Ravens. So best case scenario, they go 2-1 here, and there's a possibility that it could be worse. But after the Ravens, they have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I don't think are going to be very good this year. So that will be a win for the Jaguars. And then in week 17, they have the Carolina Panthers, another rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. And with this win right here, I think they clinched the division and one of the best records in the AFC, probably the 2 or 3 seed, depending on how well the Bills and the Chiefs do regarding injuries and all that fun stuff. So that brings their season total 1, 2, 3, 4. So they only had 4 losses. So their season total is 13-4. And like I said, I have super high hopes for the Jaguars this year. Let me know what you think about this team. I do think this is on the high end of the spectrum for them. I do expect them to be a 10 plus win team. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you with another season preview. God bless.